Others come to Colombia to enjoy life. They had to come here and not have to. Go out into the wild and experience starvation in its purest form. 10 smart guys from out of nowhere. I'm going to be here for 21 days. Work in pairs to experience this sweet double row. I don't know if it's sweet. Who loves to eat this pain anyway? Maybe you don't know what's going on here. In the tropical highlands, the heat and the sun are all very welcome. They have to get naked and get a tan. There's no excuse for not getting sunburned. They were all excited. He didn't take the difficulties lightly. Sure, you're not afraid of your neighbor falling in love with you. They don't have enough meat for a full meal. Look at everyone's happy faces. Where does it look like going for a challenge? It feels more like a return to the challenge. You know, it gets ridiculously cold at night. Even if there was a fire to keep them warm, they just won't listen. Can't wait to tell the driver to go faster. Now I want to shred the clothes that are in the way. Show off your attractive body. There's a bit of a crocodile infestation. It is said that this is the time of year when meat is at its best. They are ready to enjoy the feast. Dude, are you sure it wasn't a crocodile? How can I persuade you now? They have arrived at their destination and begun to unbind themselves. He said he was too embarrassed to show it. That hand is not at all idle. If not back to wear. I'm afraid it's been torn up by now. But for one thing, without the protection of clothes, it's really easy to get caught by mosquitoes. If it's not clamped down, it was just too beautiful to imagine. No one looks very hungry. I don't know how many people can stick it out. According to the schedule of previous shows, it's a combination of men and women, pretty much looking forward to working together. After all, it's cooler at night. I mean, it's almost impossible to make a fire. It's better to hug each other for warmth. No wonder everyone's so excited. In the southwest Alligator Passage area, Art is on his way to meet his partner. She doesn't expect much from her partner, as long as we can get along. Naak thought the same thing. It doesn't really matter if we win or not. Just enjoy nature in the midst of a challenge. I earned it on this trip. Soon Art met his partner. I'm pretty happy with a handsome guy. Look at the muscles on his body. Cutting and hauling lumber must be no problem. That's kind of fun first meeting. There is no problem in communicating with each other. Yet didn't think Naak was pure MOEHSN. He also learned his wilderness survival skills by watching short videos. It suddenly felt like the challenge was getting a lot harder. Naak is confident in his ability to build a fire. Give him a firearm, you'll set the forest on fire. Dude, you're out here trying to survive. Or you want to set the mountain on fire. Look what you got here, huh? Except for the iron pot provided by the show crew. Art brought fishing tools of his own making. She's not an angler. Just wanted to come and learn. Really is a happy man. Machete can be said to be everyone's essential equipment. And a firearm is enough for 2 people to survive in the wild. The show set them up for the river. Simple communication followed by immediate action. That's where the crocodiles are. The weapon on the alligator's hands is a little weak. We have to gather materials as we go. Let's hope we can get it and make it into a weapon. Art has some wilderness survival experience, but not many. A score of 6.7 is very high. She knows what to eat in the wild. There's just no guarantee of taste. Naak is a travel internet celebrity. Often share all kinds of strange local food. His favorite food is wild bugs. I just have a lot of diarrhea. Slightly lower than your partner. The two were stop and go on the road. There's a lack of firepower phobia. Always trying to gather more materials to take with you. It really took a long time. Let's take a look at the Eastern Valley area. Jose is on his way to meet up with his partner. He's not as excited as he was at first. Start to worry that the challenge will take a surprise. Uneasiness ran through my mind. And Nala was in hot shit. Can't the show find a better place? The challenge has not even begun to sweat a lot. Meet up with your partner and get away from here. The two soon arrived at the meeting point. You could wash your face with that sweat. As much as I want to get out of here. But the show asked for introductions. Just chatting in the sun. Nala doesn't think there's anything to tell. I'm going to fly you and it's over. That's what Joseph likes in a partner. Nala is a professional mountaineer. Know how to live in the wild. A score of 6.5 can be described as average. She thought the show was underestimating her. I hope my partner can help. Let's slap the director's face into a pig's head. Joseph is an outdoor experience traveler. Has unique insights into fishing and hunting. The rating is a whopping 7. The show has a pretty good opinion of him. I don't need to explain the machete. Without it, you lose half. What's interesting is that Joseph also made his own fishing gear. Is it expensive to buy from the supermarket? Is there any fishing guy who can explain? The map shows a river. It's the only way to get water. Plus, there's a lot of palm trees. Perfect for them to set up home there. The place they chose was rich in food. It's also less dangerous than other players. Theoretically, the most promising to complete the challenge. There were many sharp stones on the road. Even though Joseph trained barefoot, a lot it still hurt. Worried that Nala might hurt her foot in the rush. You have to be out in the sun all the time. I'm afraid I'll dehydrate you in the first place. Anthony in the Northeast is on his way. He is not a superficial man who starts at the level of appearance and is loyal to the numbers. I wish I had a stronger partner. In relaxed body fat, friendly communication. As it happens, Alba seems to fit the bill. How about survival? Based on the thickness of her body fat, at least there's an advantage in starvation. The rest is really hard to say. We just have to see what happens next, okay? Anthony didn't realize he was making a pun. It's about finding a comfortable, fat partner. Don't worry about catching cold at night. After the two had said hello, right there laughing awkwardly, Anthony claims not to be a very good survival coach, but it must be a late-night plumber. The show gave him a 704 rating. Alba wasn't interested in any of that. People used to say they wanted to lose weight to survive in the wild. Everyone else is just playing with memes. Come and experience it for real. Let's see how much weight we can lose in 21 days. What you probably didn't think of, Alba wasn't just an engineer, yoga instructor, and plus-size fashion model. You don't know how to survive in the wild. The show only gave it a 6. See if Alba can reverse that rating. Basically, the equipment doesn't make a difference. It's a fishing tool that turns into a mosquito net. Just trying to keep the bugs at bay and get a good night's sleep. Personally, it's better than fishing gear. At least get quality sleep. The show arranged for them to go to the hunting area. There's going to be a lot of stuff there. If I can take my chance. Freedom to roast meat is not a dream. You could get a stick nearby to help you. Alba thought cutting things would be easy. I didn't know there was so much in it. Cut it down diagonally. It's effortless and quick, even with Coach Anthony in charge. Alba still hasn't learned. It's literally the worst class he's ever had. Alba said it was the knife. I can't even admit I cooked it. Let's take a look at the south side. Delhi's praying for a beautiful woman on the way. Do people just want to finish the challenge? What he doesn't know is that the show loves the whole thing. Just arrange for Gurney to meet the man. The director said it was not his dog. It's that Gurney is shy around women. That's why Delhi was sent. Such a thoughtful director must be praised. They didn't realize it was a man. The challenge is full of surprises. The funny thing was before Derry came. I've seen Gurney in online videos. Don't get me wrong. It's a serious survival video. Delhi doesn't smell like a female partner right now. This free survival coach partner. Direct savings on training costs. Gurney talks about being shy with women. But the moment I saw a man, the heart is literally broken into several pieces. Anyway, how about seeing the gear first? Funny thing is Gurney brought a paracord. It's not just a rope. You can take it apart and weave it into a fishing net. It's kind of a wilderness survival tool. Others are more common, although the water was closer to them. But it's getting dark soon. We'll have to build shelters. They don't have much time. They didn't know until they talked to each other. Dury's still a big boss. I like to go to the wilderness on vacation. Living alone is not a problem at all. Do you know why it's 701? Is he still a hidden god? And Gurney works as a wilderness survival instructor. He doesn't like to go around naked. It's really easy to get hurt and get infected. It's only 6.8 when it's very strong. It's an amazing scoring mechanism. Soon they were in the thick jungle. The biggest problem inside is humidity. The temperature will get even colder in the evening. I can't stand a little weakness. There's only one more act left to introduce. Sarah came in at the highest temperature. She could smell the flesh on her body. There are many thorns on the ground, massaging the feet. Really do not recommend Jime to experience. She made it look like this before she left. I hope the photographers and editors know better. Don't miss my beauty. Furley has to be a lot more careful. Feel the way with a stick as you walk. A distance of less than 100 meters was 10 minutes. It was very careful. He is the oldest of all the players. Maybe not as physically as everyone else, but the experience of life will help you smooth out the difficulties. Watching partner Sarah come over to say hello, I was feeling a lot. She happens to be the same age as her daughter. Worried that I'd be tempted to preach. Especially this pair of horns. Really want to stop. Let's focus on the survival challenge. I hope the two can successfully complete the challenge together. Ferry was a young man who often ventured into the wilderness. I also have good experience in using tools. 7.5 minutes to win the game. There's nothing wrong with it except physical strength. Sarah is a rock climbing instructor. I also like to go out into the wild. Her young and strong body is her greatest advantage. Too bad she didn't score very high. It's up to them to make up for each other's challenges. Feely says the challenge is not difficult. Just listen to your own advice. Can definitely make the partner experience the joy of the wild. Sarah has blind confidence. Those clear, stupid eyes gave Ferry a little headache. I hope there won't be any major problems. Sarah was the second contestant with a mosquito net. The main thing is the show crew doesn't bring fishing nets. It's the only alternative. Ferry, that's more common. Next up is the water source. Just about to decide where to go later. Sarah just felt a little heat stroke and needed a break. Dude, you're not going to go home right after the start. Ferry now feels more helpless than Sarah. Sarah was on the verge of tears. It's still a long way from the water. I don't know if she can hold on. Artside has reached the water source. That's why it smells bad. Only the fruit has any use. Apply it to the wound to help it heal. Nah, I didn't expect you to know so much. Let's see what we can eat around here, okay? He felt he didn't have to worry about going hungry for this challenge. Nothing to eat was found. We did find the remains of a crocodile. Judging by the level of decay, it should have happened within this month. I guess we need to be careful around here. Sarah's the only one that's been quiet so far. Ferry had to sit back and worry. We can't rest any longer. Force Sarah to get up and move on. Try to get into the shade. Hopefully it'll make your body feel a little better. How happy Sarah was when she came. How sad it is right now. It's not just heat stroke and dizziness. And face the thorns below. The speed of the two men moving forward is very slow. Feely could only help as best he could. It's like a father-daughter adventure. Well, I didn't expect. Sarah will cut herself with her knife. Boy, this is all going to work backwards. Sure, she's serious about this challenge. Fortunately, the problem is not too big. Take the time to get into the jungle and set up shelter before nightfall. Ferry's under a lot of pressure right now. I'm afraid I won't even have a place to sleep the first night. Anthony found mud on his way. This will keep you from getting sunburned. It just smells a little bad. It's like playing in the mud when I was a kid. Alba needs some time to get used to the smell. It does feel better with the new skin. They know there's plenty of food in the jungle. I didn't expect to find fruit so soon. These will rehydrate you. I'm sure we'll find more to eat. The two are growing more confident. The Nara team is collecting as much dry wood as they can. After all, the humidity in the jungle is a little high. Tired. A little tired. But it would certainly help with the fire. It was supposed to be a long walk. I didn't realize that was a water source. The two men hurried over at once. The deli team has found a suitable place to set up camp. It didn't take long for Gurney to figure out how to set it up and take action. Doree likes a teammate like that. It really saves a lot of agonizing time. The problem was he was all about the fire. Gurney wasn't so impressed. The shelter should be built first. It's just too humid out here. Building a fire takes a lot of time and effort. Thanks to Deli's continued efforts, the fire was finally lit. Gurney's face started to feel a little better. To his surprise, Doree almost put out the fire. They have different ideas about survival. It's kind of hard to match up. Gurney is more of a team player. I'm just a little bit of a rebel. Likes to work alone. Dude, why don't you go live alone in the wilderness? I really would have been laughed at. Found a new source of water on Art's side. There is no time to dwell on it. We need to get that shelter out of here. It's a natural home with a little cleaning. Art had the structure in mind. I'm sure she can do it. I just need a little too much material. The two need to get the shelter ready before dark. It's a little difficult. There's also the problem of bugs. If it's in direct contact with the skin, I'm afraid there's going to be a big problem. It's really not sloppy at all. Anthony's got a water source, too. It's this shit that's a little disturbing. The shelter's a little further away. They don't want to be the neighbor's late-night snack. There's a lot of material around. Under Anthony's command, we've got the broad outlines. Then it's just a matter of improving. It's just that Alba's wearing out a little fast. After a while, I was out of breath. The Sarah team finally found water this way. Heat stroke and dehydration are not good. Now the water can only be cooled on the hour. Let's see if we can make a fire and boil some water later. The first priority is to set up shelter. There's not much time left for Furley. Sarah is still very weak. There's no way to count on it. The worst part is she can't use a machete. It's hard to cut some branches. I don't know what to say, you know. Fairy had a big problem with that knife, too. You didn't even cut anything and you got a knife mark. Now don't talk about gathering materials for a shelter. It's hard to get firewood back. Sarah doesn't know how to comfort you. I still have a knife I can use. The most important thing is to maintain a positive attitude. At least get the shelter out today. Furley had less than a day. It feels like an old teenager. Even the simplest shelter failed. Looks like they're not going to make it. As soon as the Nara team finds the right place to work, you don't have to communicate. The structure was soon settled. In the process of building, Nala discovered that Joseph was not as powerful as she had imagined, whether it's gathering materials or building shelters. Just a little better than a rookie. He still doesn't admit his problem. Nara says, leave it alone. I don't want to fight on my first day. It's hard for Joseph to have a strong partner. There will be more conflicts in the future. It was dark by the time the Yat team finished the shelter. I don't know if we can make a fire tonight. They spent a lot of time on it. I'm worried about breaking the fire starter with too much force. I had to give up the fire. Stay up with the gnats till dawn. Anthony's shelter is only half done, although there's a fire nearby. But all the nearby animals came close. I'm going to be out there all night freaking out. Joseph was so thirsty. Venture out to fetch water from the river. Man, aren't you afraid of getting bitten? I wonder what will happen next. Let's look forward to it. It takes a lot of effort to keep their stomachs full, even using body emptying as bait. Unfortunately, it only attracts a few small fish. I don't even like all this stuff. If you're lucky, you catch a big fish, just enough to keep in your mouth. Under such terrible circumstances, I don't know how many days you could stay. Mosquitoes are very active at night. He goes after people where they're weak. Someone who can fall asleep under the buzz. That's a real god. Except where QQ is bitten. There's really nothing you can do about it. Some even wanted to lie down in the fire, to give the mosquito a chance to retreat. Everyone's mental state is getting worse and worse. Don't lie down for a while. It will be nice to close your eyes now. I blame the show crew for not bringing insect repellent. His feet are all swollen from a bite. These mosquitoes are really hungry. Not even the soles of the feet. Don't know how you made it to day 7. Alba took most of the fire. He was covered in red spots. The biggest concern is swelling. A lot of these bites can cause allergic shock. It's hard to be hungry. There's not much time to sleep now. If I could just give you a pair of pants, Gurney wouldn't even feel this bad. I thought I could just starve. I didn't expect to get caught in a bug. I don't know how long the red spots will go away. For now, I just use running water to relieve the itching a little bit. How about checking out the traps? No surprises. The bait's gone again. These creatures here are really cunning. Deli decided not to let anything go. Let them in through fate. I have to say we're a little short on resources here. Apply the mud before returning to the shelter. It can also relieve some itching. Reduce mosquito bite areas. It just smells a little smelly. People are about to cry. Anthony wants to grab some fish over here. I made a fish basket myself. There should be fish in here. He doesn't expect to catch the big fish. It would be nice to relieve the craving. This does look better than the other contestants. Put rocks in the water to hold it down. Now, when did the fish come? The Yat team will start collecting firewood as soon as they wake up. Did you barely sleep last night? I'd love to lie down and rest now. Unfortunately, there are a lot of things to do. At least get a chimney out. Avoid high levels of smoke in the shelter. if around the firewood dry point, and it won't burn out the smoke. The fish baskets are still waiting to be made. There are a lot of things to do. There's no time for them to rest. Aren't going to have to catch the fish, to stop and enjoy life, to increase the success rate of the trap, and put a lot of bait in there. If this doesn't get us food, I don't think they have the strength to get up and work. I thought it would take a while. I didn't realize that fish was more greedy than people. Art picked up the trap and caught the fish. That's pretty small. Are you sure you can taste the fish? They were satisfied with meat. Life will definitely get better. Try to catch a big fish next time. Ever since Nala and Joseph got into trouble, they're all looking for their own food. Joseph found a lot of fruit there. I haven't been this happy in a long time. It's the first time the fruit tastes so good. As for the stomach, will not be able to bear. It's not your job to think about. He's not going to share it with his partner. It has to go all in. One day, Nala realizes her mistake. He could give away a little food, and Nala just wants to get the meat. I don't even want to talk to Joseph. Unfortunately, today's trap remains the same. There are a few more footprints around. Why don't you just go inside and have a look? Nala was in a pretty low mood. Joseph felt terrible after eating the fruit. I should have given it to my partner. Now, my stomach feels like it's being hit. So it's really not okay to eat alone. Joseph wanted to vomit, but could not. Just retching in there. You can't eat anything out in the wild. Fortunately, things didn't get any worse. I can barely hold my own. Nala found the same fruit. She didn't put it in her mouth in the first place. And he was generous enough to share it with his teammates. Joseph did not appreciate it. I thought the other person was mocking me. It's hard to fix. Anthony, let's see if the trap's working. He's going to catch some more grasshoppers as bait. You can also weave your own fishing line. What do you mean you're going to catch a fish? Nearby grasshoppers are still trying for their offspring. Alba saw it and wanted to help. I didn't think they had the strength to escape. It's really hard to catch a grasshopper. Anthony is already working on the hook. Not as strong as iron, though, but it's enough for some small fish. All we need is a grasshopper for bait. Let's hope Alba picks up some speed. She's been trying very hard. It took a lot of work to get one. Let's see if we can get straight into it. Anthony just put the pole in place. The hook is a little bigger than you thought. I hope I get a big fish to swallow. After retching, Joseph tried fishing. He can't believe he's going to be here hungry. What do you mean there must be fish in the water? It was just a little too small. A conservative estimate would be 7 or 8. Joseph was already very pleased with this. Prove you have what it takes. He's willing to share half of his meat with his partner. Let's hope Nala can hold on. It's a little hard to face a challenge alone. The grilled fish is even more delicious than expected. Tear off a little piece of meat at a time and taste it. Such a small fish. They ate for half an hour. We really can't waste any of it. After nightfall, there was a surprise at Knox. I thought it was a snake. I didn't think it was a baby crocodile. Does someone finally want a hard dish? The two approached cautiously and slowly. If the line of sight wasn't so bad, they all wanted to jump into the water and fight. I watched the alligator struggle for a long time. Finally choose to go back to rest from the heart. The challenge came on the 8th day. Most of the contestants have yet to eat meat. One by one, that is haggard. Anthony has little faith in his own trap. Every inspection is a bummer. I just didn't expect to see snakes on the road. It's not very big. Poison or not, it's a stab in the back. You can see that snakes are not very big. I'm afraid I would have just stepped over it. It's a little bit less meat. It's perfect for breakfast. The corners of their mouths are harder to press than a case. I can finally taste the legendary chicken flavor, put straight on the fire. Just the smell of this meat will make bowls of rice. The two were overcome by the snake. If only I could eat it every day. Nala was disappointed in her trap. I didn't see it working at all. Little head needs to move fast. Where else can we get food? Nala feels targeted. So why isn't the perfect trap useless? That's a lot of energy to burn every day. If this keeps up, what do we do when we evacuate? I have a lot of anxiety about my life now. She was thinking about getting some help from her partner. Let's set some more traps. Anthony said he was tired. Instead of wasting time on traps, I might as well go hunting nearby. He didn't want to work with Nala either. What, there's a disagreement then? We might as well just go about our business. Deli stayed awake almost every night. Need food to refresh the body a little. I wonder if the water snake we met earlier is still here. Nothing new to explore. The goal today is to get meat. Mark as you go, even if they're in the jungle. You can feel how hot it is right now. The next step is to get out into the open. The skin feels hot. The two men sped away from the place. I really don't want to be here for a second. Fortunately, there's another jungle not far ahead. At least the rocks on the ground aren't that hot. There's no way around here. Deli forced the way with the flesh. It's great to be back in the shade. Like Gurney's still burning his feet. I feel like I can smell the meat. Doree has been busy making signs. I'm afraid I'll get lost when I get back. I can still take a break. Gurney just had to keep fighting. Art's got alligators on his mind right now. I'd be happy to catch it. Now the crocodile is in the fish basket. I just want to grab it and throw it in. Even though crocodiles are small, it's easy to break the bone. Don't really want to venture into the water. Can only drive it to the other side. While the crocodiles don't hang around. Let's get the fish baskets up for inspection. There are 3 little fish in it. No wonder that crocodile was sitting there. I want to eat the fish in it. I guess that's why the fish got in there. Try to reunite in the belly next time. Doree and Gurney haven't joined up yet. I'm getting a little tired of waiting. Kept yelling for Gurney to come in quickly. Being out in the sun for what? Gurney followed the sound into the jungle. It took a while to get together. Next time you should take Doree's advice. Probably got food already. Something was wrong as we walked. 2 people inexplicably said separate. Are they same-sex magnets separated? Why can't we get our act together? This is the worst way to get lost. Voice calls are now only available. I want them to hear me. Gurney has long since returned to camp. Deli takes the most robust approach. Walk along the river. Nothing after a busy day. It makes the body very tired. The 2 teams have been at odds so far. Lead to a lot of trouble. The best thing is for someone to show weakness. Otherwise, cooperation is a burden. Jose, go over there and check the line. I don't know how the show picked the place. Other people survive in the wild, that's a big deal. They have a hard time catching a small fish. Thought we needed the Air Force today. There's movement at the pole. When I picked it up, it was a small fish. Joseph was not satisfied with this. Keep putting poles in the water and picking them up. Even a few small fish. As long as the quantity can be piled up. How hard is it to fill your stomach? However, the happiness did not last long. A fish has torn the line. Looks like this is the end of the day. There were other hooks in the shelter. I wonder why they all disappeared. It's better to get rid of the fish first. It's hard on Anthony's end, too. It takes a lot of physical effort to work every day. To cut down this palm tree. People are about to faint on the ground. The worst part is being attracted to bees. Good thing you got out of there fast, or you'd be stung. We don't know where the hive is. Every time he cut, bees came out. The 2 sides are locked in a stalemate. In the end, Anthony was a man of skill and courage. Just pulled down the palm tree, and he managed to catch a cockroach as bait. Tomorrow's big fish depends on it. At night, the surrounding animals come to life. The sound was very close to the camp. Art doesn't know what it is, okay. Get out of camp and check it out. Do you know what that sounds like? Day 9 of the challenge. The Deli group currently has the least food access. I've been out there every day trying to find it, but the results were not so good. Since the usual bait isn't attractive enough, then you can only put feces in it. I can't possibly say no to that now. Gurney didn't know what the bait was. Thought it was some grasshoppers or something. Until Doree tells you the answer. They smiled at each other. It sounds a little gross, though. But that's all the fish takes. Maybe we can get some meat later. It better be a big fish in one mouthful. Gurney wants to make traps to catch small animals. Derry thinks he might as well put in more bait. Traps are really not going to work here. Gurney just won't listen and he's going to set a trap. The poop bait is still lying there. Looks like it's going to take some time for the flavor to spread. There's an alligator coming over here. If we set a trap nearby, there's still a chance we could eat crocodile meat. They didn't choose to start with a crocodile trap. Instead, he set up a bird trap. As long as a bird comes and eats the bait, the noose will grab at once and wait to be eaten. Crocodiles are more active than expected. Anthony just hit it with a stick. Well, that's a little too much. Should have brought a bow and arrow. Maybe they're eating crocodile meat now. looking at the big fish in the water that his greedy cry. There were several opportunities to hunt. She just couldn't grasp it. I thought I was going home empty-handed. Art managed to reach it in the water. It's the first time she's caught such a big fish. The mood is so excited. Take it back for processing immediately. You can use the guts you don't eat as bait. This is what wilderness survival looks like. I haven't enjoyed it like this in a long time. I can't wait to lick that bone clean. It's a lot worse on the gurney side. I've never been hungry this long. I don't care if I don't catch a fish. I can't believe we don't even have fruit. How are we going to make it through this? We have to move to a more resource-rich area. Maybe we'll run into some other players to team up with. Joseph now had a big problem. All the hooks I brought are gone. How come you can't find it in the camp? That means no more fishing. The mood is terrible. Before you know it, the 10th day has come. The gurney team has been without food for too long. My body is really weak. The only food available is termites. Problem, no amount of this stuff is going to help. You don't feel any better at all. Starvation is okay with Nala. It's just that the mosquitoes around are exaggerating, buzzing in my ear all the time. It really annoys people to death. He's got bite marks all over him. It doesn't feel good to be hot. Soak in water every day for relief. Nala was emotionally devastated. I'd love to quit the challenge and go home now. I don't know if she can hold on. Let's wait and see. Why don't you all learn how to feed yourself in the wild? Don't be silly and set traps or go fishing. Just take a mosquito net and sprinkle it with termite larvae. The harvest is beyond your imagination. Bring to a simmer. You know how delicious it's going to be just thinking about it. Take down the mosquito net at home and try it. The challenge continues on day 11. Anthony, they're hungry and tired. The only hope for now is in the trap. Why don't you take your weapons and see? The trap didn't attract the birds. Instead, it was the ants. Anthony was so angry that he almost lost his footing. Too weak to know what to say. Alba still has a lot of fat on her. I can hold on a little longer. The partner is getting weaker. No more food to eat. I'm afraid I really will challenge myself. I didn't get any fish baskets. I'm going to be hungry again today. Anthony's never been this thin before. There are 10 days left until the end of the challenge. What do you say to keep going? Palm cores are easily accessible. Save yourself the effort to cut down the tree. We have to get Alba to do more work. If I had half her fat, I don't think my body's going to feel this bad. Yat's team is hungry here too. In the 2 division of labor cooperation, the body is barely able to maintain a healthy state. Nak is much worse. It was exhausting just going out to collect firewood every day, not to mention the hard work that goes into catching the fish. Whenever I have time, I want to lie down and rest. Art saw something wrong with the sky. We need to strengthen the shelter before the storm hits. Nak had no intention of leaving. Art looked a little upset too. I just want to rip the roof off. None of us face challenges easily. If you can't push your body's limits, how can starvation not complete the challenge? Nak thought the shelter was perfect enough. Don't worry too much about the storm. Give yourself some rest. So I have the energy to continue the challenge. Art was laughing at him. If you do not improve the reinforcement, I'm going to be soaking wet tonight. I had no choice but to work alone. The deli group is back in the jungle. The number of palm cores in the vicinity is okay. It makes the stomach a little bit quieter. Shorter ones like this don't always ship. Deli is digging deeper and deeper. This is all the work we've done. It's really one bite of each, and it's gone. Doree was too hard and dizzy. Too much of this is bad for the stomach. It was a really bad foraging. Gurney saw no point in continuing. Deli won't listen. They're digging. The conflict between the two is about to break out again. Gurney had to step aside to calm down. Nala found a lake the other day. Since there are no resources nearby, can only look further afield. If we can hunt alligators. I wake up laughing for the rest of my life. Nala was just thinking, let's just focus on our health. Already showing signs of heat exhaustion and dehydration. Not paying attention can really go wrong. There's a swamp ahead. You could see crocodiles before. I don't even see footprints right now. Are you sure there's more resources here? All Joseph knew was that there were a lot of thorns down there. It hurts to move your feet. I wouldn't walk around here if I could. We'll go back after we've explored this side anyway. I'd rather be in a shelter. Hold on to evacuation by starving. Boy, are you sure you're not going to eat any of it? Anthony's team started checking for traps. It's not about technology to him. It's all about luck, you know. There are no surprises. The trap is still the same. It was Alba who found snakes in the cave. Antori came at once with a spear. Go straight for the head of the snake. Alba came to help with a knife. Easy way to get snake meat to eat. Not that there's any meat on it, but if I could smell the meat, I really feel better. Alba was so excited that she shed tears. Wonder how the weight loss camp works. You can really lose weight here anyway. I mean, I can't even deliver food. You have to use your hands to find food. I'm afraid I can lose 3 or 4 pounds a day. That's all you get for a roasted snake. It's just a little too much. You have to catch a crocodile with a line this thick. See if the snake's entrails will satisfy its appetite. I hope I'm here soon for a good meal. Deli is still digging and digging. He felt it was not far down. Gurney didn't bother to talk to him. Look around for more edible food. The more common one is this fruit. Sweet and sour is not bad. The energy it takes to dig this hole in Deli. I'm afraid it's less than what you got. He just wants to get to the end. Gurney wants to go back to the shelter. Deli is still holding out. I don't know how long it takes. And that's all you end up with. Do you think this is a good deal? The funniest part is that Gurney got lost. Keep calling Dairy for location. There are lots of marks around. How can you get lost? It really made Deli laugh. Gurney is afraid to leave now. I can only go back listening to Dorie's laughter. We finally made a rendezvous. Gurney just wants to get back and end this embarrassing scene. Neck finally got up. Art doesn't even know what to say about him. Obviously, still have the physical strength to act. I just chose to suck instead of work. It's really bad for the team. If you still stay there, I'm not going to help anymore. She's here for a challenge to break through, not here to take care of people. This made Nog very angry. Doesn't she get tired and sick? The problem between the two is getting bigger and bigger. Nala and they finally reach the lake. It's quite abundant in terms of resources. The plants alone are worth their visit. John is quite happy collecting, but that's not going to fill you up. See if there are any big fish in the water. There are crocodile footprints over here. The shape doesn't look very big. I don't know if my spear can hold it. I've been walking around a few times with no results. It made me weaker and weaker. Nala just wants to go back and lie down. Jose didn't think his partner was going to make it. Given a little more time, I'm sure he'll find it. Nala doesn't care what Joseph thinks. Go back when you say you want to. Such willful behavior disgusted Joseph. Even sitting there resting and waiting for someone. It's better than going back on your own. There's a growing backlash against Nala. The challenge came on day 12. The Deli team had different concerns, resulting in frequent conflicts. Gurney thinks it's better to split up. At least it won't look bad. Now here's the problem. What if I get lost in the jungle? Gurney doesn't have much control over that. Today he's going alone, proving how comfortable you can be without a partner. Dorie spent most of his time lying down. You only see people when you work together. I have to do all kinds of things every day. If Deli wasn't there to drag you down, Gurney thought it would be better. I don't know why he slept. Dorie argues it's a survival strategy. If we keep going like Gurney, I'm not going to make it through the evacuation. This made Gurney laugh. If he doesn't gather firewood and perfect the shelter, can Dorie lie down there and sleep? Gurney feels like a gas canister about to explode at 1 o'clock. Dorie looks a little scared now. Request a night photographer. I'm afraid I'll get fucked in the night. It's the same problem with the Yat team. Art was busy most of the time. A dog would hate a fish that small. Might as well use it as bait. If only I could get a big one. She hoped Nock would get up and help. You can't make everything yourself. But Nock wanted to eat only the little fish. It's enough food for him for the day. He was so angry that he just turned around and left. She needs to prove that using it as bait was the right choice. Maybe even fish don't like Nick. Offer to make Art happy. It is recommended to have more batches of fish like this. Nock really didn't think bait would work. In order to have something to eat later. That's admitting a mistake. And vowed to eat as long as there was meat. I'm sure I'll try to help. Sure enough to eat, it is really hard enough. Art still liked the way he was rebellious. Anthony's going to check the traps when he wakes up. I dream of eating crocodiles. Too bad the traps are useless. The bait was eaten by a crocodile. We'll just have to switch to a bigger hook. And now the gator's out there staring into just leave it here and ask it to bite. I wonder if this one will work out. Whenever he had time, Joseph went looking for hooks. He thinks it's in here. It can't just disappear. Nala comforted Joseph not to worry. Life always gets better. Joseph felt a little better inside. The relationship between the two men improved. It's actually a good choice to live separately. We both have a space to cool off, or I'll wake up and see it. That's a lot of bad luck. Might as well get better and better like them. Nala agrees with that. Strive for everyone to complete the challenge together. Anthony felt he could no longer sit back and wait. Use that mosquito net to catch fish. Lots of termites as bait. The only thing to worry about is a crocodile attack. This mosquito net won't hold up. Anyway, give a try, okay? Try to be as quiet as possible. Pull up as soon as you see a fish coming in. The question didn't work out that well. Tell me you can't catch a fish. Derry and Gurney discuss what to do next. There really aren't enough resources around to make it to the end. The strong recommendation is to move elsewhere. You can't eat palm cores and fruit every day. Gurney knew Derry was right, but no one can guarantee that resources are plentiful elsewhere. If it were more barren than it is now. It's not like you're flying home right then and there. If you were willing to take the risk of moving, or continue to starve until the day we evacuate. Moving also means rebuilding shelters. I don't have the strength to build a big house. Gurney doesn't want to sit here and rot. He's here to challenge himself, not to see how many days people can starve. Anthony, they've been soaking for a long time. It's so cold I'm starting to shiver. Fortunately, the mosquito net was a good harvest. Try catching fish like this more often in the future. So many fish were harvested. It's going to be nice to simmer in a pot. Even small fish need to be gutted. Anthony also adds pine cones to taste. And the palm core takes the umami up a notch. Look forward to the fish soup. Nak had been in bed for days. Although the body has been much better, but didn't get any better mentally. Art's like a fucking nag. I'm so tired of this. It's just hard to argue in front of her. Otherwise, things could get worse. So how sweet it looks on the surface. Well, that was a pretty good joke behind the scenes. Too bad Art doesn't know that. I thought Nog was better after his break. Work harder to get resources later. I'm sure we can do this together. Nog's acting is really good. It's a shame not to be an actor. The crocs were heard at night. That's a lot of noise. You can't be small. If only it could be delivered. Nala's been plagued by mosquitoes. Joseph even wanted to quit the challenge and go home. Narana told him to shut up right away. Don't spread negativity all the time. It's only 8 days left. Joseph said nothing, but sat there. I hope Nara can share the fire. The challenge is on its 13th day. The players are not in the best shape. Joseph's thoughts of leaving were always there. You don't know how you do it. Nala checks on her partner every day. No encouragement is as effective as a hug. Joseph's body was already marked. Mosquitoes bite more than you think. So itchy he wanted to cut it off with a knife. Nala saw that Joseph was giving up. Always on the side, encouraging. She didn't want to face the next challenge alone. Joseph had been struggling there. I thought he was going to die today. I didn't expect to be left behind by Nala. That's probably what a partner is for. Nog finally found food. The lizard is just lying over there. Just reach over and grab it. Oh no, a lizard that small would kill him. I feel like I don't even have to use the knife. Just turn your head and it's over. Put on a skewer and cook it. Can you smell the meat? Anyway, it's better than being out there hungry. Art thinks Nog knows better. Now everyone knows to get food. I was so moved that I wanted to cry. Anthony will have much better resources. Gather what you can eat. It's a little bit of a recovery. I prefer palm cores. Maybe he's been eating too much lately. The burden on the stomach is a little heavy. There are otters in the river. If we could catch them all, I don't have to worry about getting hungry. Gurney and Derry studied the map for a long time. If we can get to the lake, in theory, it's easier to find food. And closer to the evacuation point. It'll be easier to get home then. Joseph is working hard now. Even if the palm leaves are on the other side. He's willing to swim there and bring it back. You wouldn't have done anything before. The team atmosphere is getting better and better. Even get together to watch the sunset. Dude, how did it get romantic? The challenge is on its 14th day. Deli was sore from mosquito bites. I've had an allergic reaction to dry heaves. Such a body state to migrate. Deli really can't take it. Gurney looked at it with great frustration. If we keep going like this, we'll move. The doctor came to check it out. I don't think it's a big problem. It's overstress. Derry thought the doctor was full of shit. Is this massive bite mark a fake? I don't think we have to move today. On the contrary, Joseph wanted to migrate. They want to go where there are more resources. Try to get enough to eat in your last days. Funny thing is, it's the same lake. It seems that resources are abundant there. Gurney thinks his partner is stalling for time. I wish we'd moved there sooner. What are you doing here? Pack up and move by force. Deli had no choice but to keep up. It's a long way from the destination. Deli asked to stop and rest every time he walked. He was talking about how sick he was. So much so that Gurney wanted to leave without him. I wonder if they'll make the move. Let's wait and see. When you can't catch a fish, learn the techniques along the way. Create an enclosed space first. Make sure no fish can leave. Then you can scare them away. The other side has already arranged for an arrest. It's easy to eat. If you like something a little more difficult, try fishing for crocodiles in the trees. I haven't seen any success so far. I don't know how it's going to turn out this time. To be able to fill your stomach. Dury and Gurney chose to move elsewhere. In the heat and the sun. Deli, it was a terrible feeling. Every step is on the verge of fainting. Gurney kept urging in the background. Dury would have fainted and gone home. Push through the pain and move on. Barely made it to the top. And the destination is right up ahead. Conservatively, it'll take 2-3 hours. I feel a little weak just thinking about it. There's only one more week left. Are they sure they can get food? Deli was rather skeptical. Now, I just want to get back to my destination. Then set up shelter to rest. The jungle is a little thick here. It's not easy to walk. Gurney's got a temper that wants to set this place on fire. He's still complaining. Dury said he would not come. He's got bite marks all over his body. Keep your mouth shut and move on. Then he picked up his machete to help clear the way. The physical exertion is quite high. I'm afraid he'll be exhausted before he gets there. Gurney needs to calm down. Dury didn't wait for his partner to recover. All I wanted was to get out of this place. Gurney watched him walk away, and it was quite angry. Dury really wanted a new teammate for the challenge. Also preparing to move is the Nala formation. Only now Joseph is busy with ticks. Dude, that's a constant whine. Joseph forced the tick off. Nala couldn't bear to watch. The advice is to have a doctor disinfect it. Get up and help see if there's anything else. Especially some of the more secluded places. It's hard to see without touching it. The conflict between Dury and Gurney is growing. Both sides hate each other and have to help each other. I don't know how far it is to the lake. I'm kind of ready to rot. Anyway, the two try to get through the jungle to the lake. It's good to see something different. There are many crocodile footprints around the lake. You have to be very careful about fetching water here. He likes to sneak up on the shore. Deli doesn't have much control over that. If you don't drink water, you're going to faint from dehydration. There's not much time to build shelter. Just make sure there's water at night. I just want to lie down until the challenge is over. Yad is very worried about Nock's state. Weakness from lack of food. Add to that the mental toll of sleep deprivation. It's hard to stay here another day. Art can only encourage Nock by constantly trying to keep him going. Nock knew he was going to lose it. If Art hadn't been trying, he quit the challenge long ago and went home. I want to change that. We're going to have to work a little harder. There's no shelter on Gurney's side. All kinds of mosquitoes smell it. He didn't know what he was bitten by. My feet are burning with pain. Take a closer look and you'll see that they're surrounded by leafcutter ants. Eat anything and not pick at all. Give him enough time. Not even the man he was wearing. Gurney was impressed that Derry was able to sleep. It's been a battle of wits with leafcutter ants all night. Anthony's not having a good time either. All I can think about right now is catching alligators. He's going to climb up the tree. It can be very dangerous. If I accidentally fall, I'm afraid the crocodiles will come for their meat. Anthony's up there catching the gators by hand. Alba felt hopeless. The surrounding resources are getting less and less. I think it might be better to move on. That's where they squat every day. It's a huge waste of time and energy. You can't rest your hopes on this. Deli felt how bad the night was. There are mosquito bites in the air. There are leafcutter ants on the ground. Not even the stinking bag. The worst part is that Gurney's screaming. I can't get a good night's sleep. So no matter how hard and tired you have to have a home, it doesn't have to be that good. Just a little blocking is enough. Doree said it all right, but didn't do it. So angry that Gurney didn't want to talk. Normally, Deli just lies down and rests, barely helping out. Gather your own materials now. He's still asleep there. I would have slapped it in my face. The Nala side decided to move tomorrow. Try to get as much rest as possible today. If you can find food, even better. Joseph was too tired to move. It's up to Nala to go out and find food. I know there's not enough fruit to eat, but that was all she could get. As much as you can pick up. Naak is also working on food. It's just this side of the creek is dropping. It's getting harder and harder to catch fish. Something moving in the water. Go check it out immediately. Naak's gonna block the entrance first, and then slowly wait for the fish to come. Art thought it was kind of stupid. Are you sure the fish will listen like that? Naak's covered it with bark anyway. Next we just wait for the fish to pop. Ideas are good. It's just that he doesn't have a good eye. Instead, Art found it as soon as he struck. Just have the meat anyway, okay. There are so few food resources now. Consider moving on. It's good to get a little closer. One fish a day, actually. Make it to the end of the challenge. I'm afraid I won't be strong enough to evacuate. Keep trying. Try to finish the challenge together. Anthony waited up there for hours. I can barely feel my ass. The crocodile doesn't seem to be moving. Try to get to it with a lasso. Slowly put it in the mouth. Now comes the most critical step. If you miss it, it's all over. Too bad it was so close. The noose contracted faster. Now you can eat crocodile meat. Unfortunately, there is no if. I guess crocodiles really aren't his thing. Let's just eat some palm cores. Alba talked him out of catching alligators. We should look somewhere else. Deli hasn't set up a shelter yet. If it rains, it will be a disaster. The funniest part was when Doree was bitten in the mouth by a mosquito. It's so swollen it looks like sausage. It's hard to talk now. He's not sure if it's mosquitoes. How are we supposed to meet people after this? The challenge came on day 16. Nala and her two are leaving camp today. We're still a long way from our destination. These 2 days mainly rest. Joseph did not feel very well. He wanted very much to lie still. It's really hard to rely on willpower alone. If only I could eat meat now. Nala has cleaned up. Must get a new place today. Follow the map to get the information. There will be more resources on the lakeside. There's one route that's easier to follow. After a brief conversation, take action. The sun isn't too hot at the moment. Take the time to walk more. All the way to the shade. Joseph was still gathering fruit to eat. Nala was in a hurry, just trying to get to the new location. The problem is, how can I persuade you? No shelter has been set up in Delhi. I don't think this is going to last till the end of the challenge. Gurney has a very strong opinion of his partner, lying around all day doing no work, and took command from there. And they barely work together. Derry is going to the lake. The mouth is so swollen. I don't know if I'll get better before the challenge is over. Gurney has lost all hope for his partner. I just want to do my own thing first. Doree thought he was fine. He's trying to get better, too. Now it's more about rest. I don't like Gurney telling me what to do. I know a little bit about survival. Bring back a lot of firewood for the camp. He didn't mention it at all. The more I think about it, the angrier I get. I want to throw my little fist in Gurney's face. No matter what Gurney thinks. I will try to complete the challenge anyway. The Naras have been gone for a while. I finally saw a different view. Nala couldn't stop panting from exhaustion. After a short rest, he resumed his action. That's what it's like to survive in the wild. It's really good in terms of willpower. Too bad we ran out of water on the way. We're going to drive in the sun. You're always at risk of dehydration. Anthony hasn't given up hunting crocodiles yet. Always observe your surroundings. Trying to locate the crocodile. Alba doesn't want to talk to Anthony. All I wanted to do was get in the water and wash. Anthony was back in his familiar position. Are you sure there are more alligators coming? Nala's side is finally in a new place. Funny thing is they were there in Delhi. Delhi thought he was starving and hearing voices. Get up and see what's going on. I didn't think I'd meet the other players. It is friendly to communicate with each other. Joseph was curious about the resources here. They don't really hang out much. Let's just say there's a lot of crocodiles around here. In an effort to try to hunt one, Nala thought they were funny. A combination of powers is sure to bring good luck. The dairy's self-destruct team doesn't work. Not necessarily to everyone's satisfaction. As it happens in the beginning, Nala and Joseph don't get along. The shelters are set up separately. In the end, it was not a friendly relationship. So everything's going to be okay. Anyway, why don't we just hang out? I hope we get enough food in the end. Naik thought about quitting the challenge every day, mostly because the mosquitoes are annoying at night. He thinks he's done his best. There is no motivation to continue the challenge. It's only a few days. Art didn't understand that very well. I hope Naik thinks about it. Do you want to go home without yourself? Naik says it's okay to go home together. Art didn't know what to say. I'm not going to quit the challenge anyway. Naik is very anxious now. Might as well quit the challenge and go home. In the team of 4, how to discuss the division of labor cooperation. Delhi volunteered to boil the water, so I can go back and get some rest. Others are enjoying themselves in the water. I haven't felt this comfortable in a long time, especially since Delhi isn't here. Gurney found an opportunity to make wild jokes about his partner. I really want to get him home. Derry is such a lazy person. It is not suitable for further cooperation. What can the others say? Delhi will get the fire right. Watching everyone happy, I feel a little uncomfortable. I mean, it's only a few days. But this sanctuary is not to be omitted. No one can guarantee that it won't rain. After discussion, we decided to do it tomorrow. At night, the Yat team heard something different. They can't see very well. The big cat keeps staring at the camp. They were too nervous to talk. Suddenly, it seemed to move this way. Make them squeal. Just a little more comfortable raising the flame. Naik thought he should quit the challenge. You're going to be scared every day. Tell Art to go home with him. Suddenly, there was thunder again. Don't expect to sleep tonight. There's rain coming in from Anthony. The situation is not very optimistic. The worst part was the foursome. There's no shelter, nothing to hide. The fire might go out at any moment. I wish I hadn't set up the shelter sooner. To make sure there's a fire to keep warm. The 4 of them were looking after the fire together. The water in the fields also came up. It can only be covered by flesh, barely enough to protect the fire. Body temperature is barely maintained at a healthy level. I barely made it to dawn. The sooner we reach the end of the challenge. Morale got even lower. I never thought it would be this bad. If we had taken care of the shelter sooner, maybe last night wouldn't have been so bad. No amount of complaining will help. Let's do something about the shelter. Although there is strength in numbers, but ideas have grown. Even if Nala made it clear, there are still people who will question it. The process of building it is very uncomfortable. I don't want to team up with Derry and Gurney. He's been directing people around, and you're always spreading that negativity. No wonder they hate each other. I would have left and done on my own. The shelter is not being built fast enough. Barely got the frame right. Comments made by Delhi. They didn't listen to any of it. Make yourself that is very angry. Are we sure this storm's going to hold up? Alba told Anthony to stop catching alligators. Now he's as thin as skin and bone. Might as well go catch some fish. At least there's some meat to eat. How else are we going to get home? Anthony thought he was finished. Not strong enough to travel far. I'm still dizzy right now. Is he going to lose it and go home? Naik decided to see how it went tonight. If something's wrong, get out. In fact, once the idea of going home, it's hard to get away with that. My advice is to go home early. Don't rub the camera in here. Art didn't know how to do it, did he? You have to soothe it like a child. I hope Naik thinks about it. It's a shame to quit the challenge. The two comforted each other in this way. I don't know why Naik is in such a hurry. Just for a few days. Even if I lie down and sleep every day, it'll make it through the morning. If Naik drops out of the challenge, Art doesn't know what to do. May nature hear her prayers. Have a quiet night tonight. The storm is still coming in the night. The shelter is in jeopardy with the foursome. The rain kept hitting the fire. Only the flesh can form a human wall against it. The other players didn't feel good either. I wonder how many people will finish the challenge. Let's wait and see. Columbia's challenges are finally coming to an end. You said this was a good class. A shelter could collapse. It almost overwhelms people. You said they weren't good enough, and we were able to build a raft. Not afraid of crocodile attacks in the water. How's this wilderness survival? Who knows? But the capacity to starve is directly filled. I can last that long on water alone. I wonder how many of us will finish the challenge. The challenge continued on day 18. It's almost over. Anthony's mental state is getting worse and worse. I've been thinking all night about whether to go home now. Alba thought he was leaving now. I couldn't hold back the tears. Anthony thinks it's okay. There are always some regrets in life. He believed his partner would make it to the end. Alba didn't want to do it alone. We only have 3 days left. Why can't you get through it? Nak also wanted to quit the challenge. He thinks he's doing better than he planned. Learned a lot of survival skills from your partner. If there is another time to come, I'm sure I can handle the challenge. Art is very sad now. She was already weak herself. If the partner does drop out of the challenge, I don't know if I can hold it when I evacuate. Still want to talk to Nak again. We all have the opportunity to complete the challenge. You can't just give up. Nak can understand Yat's feelings. The problem is the mosquitoes are really bad here. I don't want to be here for a day. Art knew he couldn't talk him out of it. The next step is to face the challenge alone. Nog hopes she can hold on. Don't miss yourself too much. Soon the director came to understand the situation. Ask multiple times to confirm whether to exit. There are only 3 days left. It will be a shame to leave now. Nog is very determined. There is no room for change. So say goodbye to Art and leave the camp. Nog has no regrets about the challenge. Although the challenge was not successfully completed, but it also spent 18 days in the field. Much better than most people. Now don't look like you're okay. In fact, physical and mental already reached the limit. To be able to wear clothes again, it feels really different. I hope the show crew can arrange to go home soon. His stomach was already itching for a good meal. And look at the foursome. There's not a word to describe them. The shelter is as good as unbuilt. You still have to get wet in a rainstorm. Not to mention the mosquitoes. I think my body's like a cafeteria. Life is really sad enough. They discussed gathering materials to finish the roof. The day for evacuation is approaching. Does it have to be too nice? Might as well save some energy for food hunting. Too many people will divide opinions. Deli's got a big head on it. No one can guarantee that it will be fine. I mean, you're going to have to watch the fire every night. After a bit of communication, it still didn't work out. Nobody wants to listen to anybody anyway. You might as well go your own way. Team relations are getting worse and worse. Anthony woke up and said he was quitting the challenge. I wonder why you're still lying there. You don't want to regret the challenge. He said to give himself another chance. Until he fainted and was carried away. Alba was very happy to hear the news. I don't have to worry about completing the challenge alone. Anthony is very weak indeed. If you can't get enough food, there is no guarantee that the challenge will be met. It's still up to Alba. She needs to do most of the work. Anthony rested as much as he could to recover. The loss of a teammate of Art is very sad. The camp is some distance from the evacuation point. Plan to act ahead of time. There's not much food to eat here. Well, it's a little too much. We'll leave when we're better. The foursome tried to stack it with palm. Deli felt sure it would break. Sure enough, it waited until night. The shelter was suddenly down. Fortunately, the material is not very heavy. You can get this up with a lot of effort. It's just a little hard to accept. If it rains later, they were afraid they would have to stay under the trees. If everyone had just fallen asleep, accidentally touched a fire and ignited it. Let's not finish the challenge then. Getting home is a big question. Art didn't sleep well alone. I always feel something close around me. Keep an eye on the outside. I'm afraid we're all going to be gone the next minute. There are far fewer mosquitoes. I hope you can successfully complete the challenge. Day 19 of the challenge. The foursome lay here resting on the shore. They're not afraid of crocodiles. The shelter was a failure. The material itself is not very good. With all those palm leaves on top of it, it's too physical to rebuild. Everyone was so down. Only Deli was there to gloat. When we did, he said it wouldn't work. No one wanted to believe it. Now, there's a problem. Doree wants to rebuild the shelter. The rest of the team was a little reluctant. We only have 2 nights left, and we just have to suck it up. People don't act too aggressively, do they? I hate Deli more and more. He's been talking about it. I don't want people to know how good he is. Gurney has his own ideas. The fight for the shelter began again. I suggest we build our own. There's no need to all get together. Anthony's getting ready to move, too. Spend the day at the lake. The physical situation is not very optimistic. But mentally, you can't give up. Follow the directions on the map. That's quite a distance. They crowned each other and put on a crown. Pray for a successful expedition. The two soon made their way from the jungle to the plain. It's almost a 3-hour walk. You got to keep an eye on what's going on around you. Art is also planning to move later. Although it's sad that my partner's not here. But the challenge must continue. I'm ready for the challenge. Don't forget to put out the fire before you leave. If you accidentally start a fire, she'll have food and shelter for the rest of her life. As far as my health is concerned, Art is still weak. It can only be maintained at a slow speed. You have to take a break from time to time. I'm not sure we'll get there in 3 hours. Ignoring the cries of the body. Push through the pain and move on. I'm afraid she'll suddenly faint on the floor. Anthony, to the mountain. Things are a little better. You can already see across the lake. We're only a few kilometers from our destination. As they exclaimed the beauty of the landscape, and Art gradually came up. There is no spare strength for shelter today. Just pray it doesn't rain hard. No sign of lake area yet. The heart is very anxious. Anthony continued on his way after this short rest. Soon into the jungle. It's getting closer and closer with a group of 4. They heard the sound of someone moving. Alba didn't expect to run into anyone else. I was quite happy about it. After a brief exchange of understanding between the two sides. How about we figure out what to do next? Nice rope Anthony brought. The nets can also catch some small fish. Team panel strength has increased a lot. We'll just see if we can refuel in the next 2 days. The addition of Anthony and Alba make the team atmosphere lively. Alba saw unripe fruit. It is recommended to set fire to it. That's how she usually handles it. The rest of us, that's unheard of. Looks like there's a lot of food around here. They just didn't grasp it. A group of people came to the lake to relax. I hope the increase in numbers will not aggravate the conflict. In fact, Art has already come to the camp. Still don't see people a little confused. Call out for a response. They didn't realize there were any contestants. Art heard the sound and rushed to the lake. Seeing how many contestants are left, it was amazing. Hug everyone right away. Now Art won't have to worry about completing the challenge alone. Now all the players are in one place. Art thinks this is a safe challenge, no matter what the problem is. I'm sure we can work it out together. In such a big team, the tension will be relieved. Anthony was glad he hadn't given up, or he might regret it for the rest of his life. Happy to be happy, this challenge must not relax. The shelter hasn't even been built yet. We worked together to deal with the division of labor. It took a long time to get the frame up, then just cover it with palm leaves. I worked on it until dark. All the players got together and talked, sharing things that happen these days. People don't get much food. It's all about using up physical energy to survive. Every time Gurney talks to someone new, that's why they make fun of Dorito. If it wasn't so crowded around here, Doree wanted to go in there and punch him. Anyway, bear with it, okay? It's only going to be a day, anyway. Try to get everyone home to the evacuation point. They're going to finish their lives. The first Naked Wilderness Survival Challenge. It felt really different. The challenge has reached day 20. All of us have one thing today. That is to prepare the supplies needed for evacuation. We're still a long way from the extraction point. We need to cross the lake to the mountains. A raft would definitely need to be prepared. It's just for bags and weapons. Others paraded in the water. I'm afraid I'll run into an electric eel or a crocodile. No amount of numbers can hold it back. Get over it anyway. We have to get all of them through. Collect materials from morning till night. There was a problem building the raft. I want everyone to use it. We need more buoyancy. Looks a little shabby, but we're making them as we go along. The raft will last until the end of the challenge. I thought the last night was going to be fine. Who would have thought crocodiles would be here? It's scary to take a bath. The gators are right there watching. We'll have to be more careful when we evacuate tomorrow. They regretted not having moved here earlier, or we'd be eating a crocodile meal. We don't have time to deal with it now. It's a shame we didn't get to eat crocodile meat. Before you know it, evacuation day has arrived. Everyone's in good spirits. Can't wait to get to the extraction point. But this raft still needs to be perfected. Can't just fall apart halfway through. To make it to the last day, one by one, that is full of emotion. You came in thinking there was nothing wrong. It was a terrible feeling. Every day, I wonder if I should go home. But I can make it to the last day. Why should I reward myself with a big chicken leg? Everyone gets together and encourages each other. Try to finish the challenge early and eat early. I can't stay in this place for another day. Follow the route on this side of the map. If you don't risk crossing the lake, it's at least a 3-mile loop. Stopping to rest is also needed. If there are physical problems, then this walk will take longer. 3 or 4 hours, conservatively. I don't even have the slightest weakness for that. Put the raft in the water. It's a lot better than I thought. At least it didn't sink right into the lake. All we can do now is hope the crocodiles don't come. If they do come here, where do you think they're going to hit? Keep a steady pace. Although everyone is physically tired, but we all know if we stop, there's a higher chance of being attacked. No matter how hard and tired you are, you will rush to the shore and fall down again. It takes a lot of time and energy. Finally, to the other side. After a short break, to adjust. Go into the jungle and move on. The ants here are a little more dramatic. Luckily, there were no problems along the way, We made it to the evacuation point. When you listen to the truck, the tension finally relaxed. So the man immediately walked the last part of the way. It was as if they could smell the roast chicken. Stop asking, how does the challenge feel? I don't want to experience it again in my next life. Hunger is not the only thing to endure every day. And beware of unknown creatures. Tortured both physically and mentally. I could hardly resist giving up the challenge. This contestant has to say that they can really starve. Barely see how they eat. When I got on the truck, congratulations to them on winning the challenge. One must wonder what happens when it's over. Then, of course, back to the hotel for a feast. To feel the joy of bathing again. And Alba showed it in action. 21 days. Lost 28 pounds. Such a way to lose weight. Would you like to come and experience it? I wonder who else will invite to the challenge next. Let's wait and see.